Hey guys, and welcome to my channel, the Bronson Sky Library. So today, I thought I would share with you guys my favorite reads from the year of 2023. I did a video a couple weeks ago sharing my November and December wrap-up, and I remember in that video I said that I would do one of these videos, and I just haven't gotten to it yet because school, life, whatever. I knew this video was going to be late, so here you guys are in the middle of January getting my favorite reads of 2023. So, I guess we will start with the first one. I don't think it was the first book that I read in 2023. Yes, correct. It is not the first book that I read in 2023, but it's on first. These books aren't in any particular order, except for maybe this one. I think this might be my favorite. No. Anyway, okay. No particular order. I'm just starting from the books that I read from the very beginning of 2023 and then ending on the books that I ended on in 2023. That's just the easiest. So yes, there's no particular order to this. Anyway, long story short, there you have it. Okay, so the first book. Okay, I need to settle down. Okay, so the first book that I have on this list is Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. And yes, I almost said silver spinning because I, for some reason, have a hard time remembering that it's spinning silver. I guess alliteration is hard for me, and it's hard for me to say spinning silver, but it's easier for me to say silver spinning. Anyway, I promise I loved this book. I promise I know that I loved it, and I promise that I know the title. I promise. But yes, anyway. This was one of my favorite reads from the year of 2023, and this book, if you guys don't know what it's about this girl named Miriam. Her father is a moneylender, and he is a big ol' softy and doesn't go after the people who borrow money from him, so Miriam is living in poverty. Her and her family are living in poverty because her dad is a big softy, like I mentioned. And so I think she's tired of it. She's tired of living in poverty, so she's like, you know what, Dad? I'm going to collect the money from these people that owe us. And so she takes over the business, basically. And it becomes this thing around town, or whatever you have it around the village, that Miriam is known for spinning silver into gold. Because she gets money from people, and it just grows and grows. Anyway, it's known throughout this village that she can do that, and then it gets kind of known, like the Fae world in this. It's about Fae, if you didn't know. The Fae King, or whatever, yes, the Fae King hears about this, and he comes after her, and he's like, I want you to make this silver into gold for me. Thank you. And she's like, I don't know how to do that, but she ends up doing it, and then he takes her back to his kingdom, and then he's like, now, all of this gold, you have magical powers, so you're going to make all of this silver that I have, and you're going to turn it into gold. And she's like, I don't have magical powers. I don't know what you're talking about. I can't make this silver into gold. I can't just touch it and make it into gold. She's like so worried about that, right? So anyway, that's the story. There's also different stories woven into this one, different POVs, and each POV I loved each POV, and I loved the characters. I think what I was more attached to, though, was the writing of this book. It was beautifully written, and even though some of the writing did go over my head because I'm not smart whatsoever. Okay, I'm smart, but I'm not amazingly smart. And so some of this did go over my head a little bit, and some of the writing, but it was still so beautiful and so well written, and it's so atmospheric, and I loved being in the atmosphere. It was the reason why I read it. I think I read it in February of last year, and the reason why I read it during that time, I was gonna read it in January, but I read it during that time because it was snowing where I live, and this is very wintry, very atmospheric in that kind of world. Anyway, so I read it then, and I think that was a perfect time to read it because this book is so atmospheric. And I loved that. I mean, I did love the characters, don't get me wrong, but like I loved the writing, and I loved, I think, just how whimsical this book felt. And I was connected to Miriam and the Fae King's story. I really enjoyed that. And yeah, it was so good. I just remember loving it. Oh man. So yeah, that's book one, was Spinning Silver, not Silver Spinning. Alright, the next books. I'm going to clump these two together because I read the first book at the end of 2022, so like December of 2022, and then I read the second book in January of 2023, I think, and then the third book I read in like March, I think, or something like that. But I'm going to combine these two because I don't remember which one I liked more. I remember that I liked both of them. I remember that I loved both of them. I remember that I love the whole series, basically, and it's probably one of my new favorite series. And yeah, anyway, so I'm just going to clump them together. And the books that I am going to be clumping together will be Flamefall by Rosaria Munda? Yeah. Flamefall, and then Fury Song. So, these two books, they're the last two books in the Aurelian Cycle series that going on. The first book I have behind me. I don't know if you can see it, but yes, the first book would be Fireborn, and I loved that, but I didn't read it in 2023, so I'm not putting it on this list, but just know that I loved it. But these two books, like this whole series in general, was so good. So this series, it's about there's two main characters. There's Annie and Lee, and Annie and Lee are part of this new, like, regimen. So, like, there was, like, a revolution that happened that killed both of their families, basically. And they become orphans, and they meet each other, and lo and behold, you don't know this, but, well, you do know this. Anyway, lo and behold, like, I'm pretty sure Lee's family is the one that killed... I'm not pretty sure. I know that Lee's family killed Annie's family, and now these two are becoming friends. Anyway, but they're part of this new regiment, like this new world, basically, like this new revolution, I guess. I'm forgetting political words, and I'm very sorry. But anyway, it's this new government, I guess you could say, and is it... The question posed is this new government actually better than the old? Or is it the same or worse, you know? So, people are dragon riders in this. That's what I loved about, like, one of the things I loved about this, Lee and Annie become dragon riders, and they become part of this new government, and then there's a new revolution that starts happening because people are questioning whether this new government is better or not. And I loved it. Rosaria Munda really, really knows how to use political intrigue to her advantage. Like, it was so good. I mean, yes, she studied political theory, I'm pretty sure, in college, or like her master's, I think. I don't even remember, but she did at university. She did study political theory, and it shows. Like, she is so good at using political intrigue, and I love political fantasy. It just, like, it hits the spot. For some reason, I just love political fantasy. I particularly don't like political things in the world. Politics just go over my head. Like, I am so bad at understanding politics, and so politics in the real world, I'm like, ugh. Because I just don't understand it, and I'm not good at explaining things and what I, like, believe in politics and stuff. Anyway, politics are hard for me in the real world. Politics in fantasy, love it. I eat that shit up. Like, it is so good. And these two books and the first book killed it. So good. Like, a political theory, political intrigue in these books. Anyway, I'm pretty sure I'm just repeating myself about this series, so I think you guys should read it. If you love political fantasy and you love dragons and you love dragon riders and you love angsty teen romance, this series is for you. This series is so good. And the angst does get a little annoying at times, but I still loved it. I still loved it. It was so good. And I'm going to shout this to the world. So good. Read it. Okay, and then the next book on my list would be The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. So this one is very unique, especially the first book. So we have this girl. Her name is Lynn, and she's the Emperor's daughter, but she doesn't have memories. For some reason, she has lost them, and she's trying to figure out what her memories are, and she's trying to be a good daughter for the Emperor. She's trying to prove herself to him, and prove that she can be the next emperor, basically. And she's going up against her brother as well, but she's trying to prove herself by learning what we call as the Bone Shard magic, and that's hence the title of the book. It's like this weird kind of magic. It's this weird kind of magic. It's very unique. It has to do with like taking like the shards of bone from people and then like constructing these like weird creature-like things, and you like write down commands on the bones and then like put it in like create these creatures, and then they go off and do your bidding basically. And so she's trying to learn that magic, trying to prove herself. And then we also have another character named Jovis, and he is trying to find his wife, because his wife, like, I think from 5 years ago, I don't remember how long it had been, but he's been trying to find her for a long time. Some, like, ship grabbed her and took her away from him, and he is trying to find that ship, and also running from people that are bad. Anyway, so that's basically the premise of the first book. We don't know what's going on with everything. There's a lot of mystery and intrigue, and I loved learning about Lynn, and I loved learning about Jovis. Those two characters were probably my favorite in the whole series. And while the mystery kind of dies out from, like, the next two books, I would say that it was still really, really great, and like there was some mystery in the like second book and the third. I would also say the first and the second book were probably tied to be like my favorite reads, so maybe I should also put like one of my favorite reads of the year. So maybe I should put that in the list as well. But anyway, this series was so fun. I don't know what to say. It's just, it was very interesting and intriguing. The first book especially had that air of mystery to it that was fantastic. And I just loved it. And I loved the ending. It was very bittersweet, like the ending of the third book. It was very bittersweet to me, and I tend to like bittersweet endings, but this one was good. I would say I really liked, especially I loved the ending to Jovis and Lynn's character arcs, and yes. Anyway, good book. You should read it if you really enjoy trilogies and interesting and unique new ideas in fantasy, then you should definitely read this. Alright, and then one of my other favorite reads from the year is not surprising anybody. It would be Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. If you have watched my videos before, you know that I love Brandon Sanderson, and you know that I really liked this book. Anyway, Tress, so fun and so whimsical, and I loved who the narrator was in this book. The narrator is Hoid, and I just love Hoid's narration. Like, he is fun to listen to, And so that's, I think, why this book was a lot of fun. But anyway, what Tress is about, it's about this girl who she's very, she's just a plain Jane, I guess you could say. But she lives on this, she lives on a rock, and she's never left her home. She's never left that rock. But she loves a boy. I think the boy is the prince of this rock, and of the town of the rock. Yeah, anyway, I think he's a prince, and she loves him. And then this prince ends up, his dad, ships him off to, another place to, get married or something. Anyway, yeah, so she loves this boy, the prince, and he gets shipped off by his father because his father noticed that Tress loved him and that the boy also loved Tress, and so he's like, can't have that. I do not want him to be seen with that girl. So that's why he, sends his son away. And then Tress decides, I'm gonna go after him. Because he used to, send her, little teacups, and then that stopped happening, and then she was like, you know what, I think he's in danger. So she goes to save him, and that's the story. So this story is Brandon Sanderson's, it's his homage, I guess, to The Princess Bride. It's his Princess Bride story, and it's really fun, and it's really, I don't know, it's just really great. It's a lot of fun, for sure. And I had a good time with it, and Tress was a fun character. I think that her being a plain Jane and her being so honest was I was gonna say breathtaking, but that's the wrong word. It was, should I say it was a fresh of breath air. That's the phrase that I'm looking for. It was her honesty was a fresh of breath air, because we get a lot of, especially fantasy characters, we get a lot of conniving and manipulating, and we get a lot of characters who are they don't tell the truth. Miscommunication trope a lot. But we have these characters that are so smart and conniving, but then in Tress, we get Tress, who's honest and not conniving. She just is yeah, this is the truth. And then because she ends up on a pirate ship, these pirates are this girl's a master of deceiving. And she's like, no, I'm literally just telling you the truth. But it was so fun. I loved it. And again, Hoid as the narrator was so much fun. And yes, this book was delightful, and I really, really enjoyed it. I didn't read any of the other secret novels from Brandon Sanderson last year, so I guess this year will be the year of Sanderson for me instead of last year. But yeah, so again, Tress was fantastic, and you should all read it, because it's beautiful. Alright, and then the second to last book on my list would be the new Percy Jackson book, The Chalice of the Gods. Was it the best book ever? No. But was it fun, heartwarming, adventurous, and delightful? Yes. It was all of those things. And I loved it. I loved every single second. For me, so this book compared to, say, Spinning Silver, the writing, completely different. Obviously, this is a middle grade. Spinning Silver is not a middle grade, it's an adult fantasy, and so the writing is definitely going to be drastically different. And the writing, you could say, was better in Spinning Silver. Yeah? Spinning Silver? You could say that the writing in Spinning Silver was better than the writing in Percy Jackson, but what makes this book so delightful, and what makes all of the Percy Jackson books so delightful, is the voice. The voice of Percy, so great, and his humor, fantastic, his quick-wittedness, fantastic, and I just loved getting the story of Percy. It was a simple story of him going on a quest with Annabeth and Grover. It's a quest to try and get him to help him to get into college. And there weren't many high stakes, but like it was still good. That like I don't know how to explain it, but it was just wholesome and delightful. And I loved it so much. There's just like something about reading a wholesome book in amongst books that aren't as wholesome, are more gritty and fantasy heavy or like topic heavy and stuff. There's just something about just reading a simple, it's like 260 page book. Something so simple about reading like a 260 page middle grade book that's wholesome and delightful in the middle of reading like other things. Like it helps you escape, and that's what this book did exactly. It helped me escape, and I loved that for it. And also, I got to be with Percy again, one of my all-time favorite characters. So, this definitely was one of my favorite books of the year. And last but not least, my last favorite of the year of 2023 would be Defiant by Brandon Sanderson. Again, nothing new. If you watched my last video, you know that I loved this book, and I loved Spence's character arc. I don't think I want to go too in depth with it because I did in my last video talk about it. So just know that I love this book. I loved the ending to the series. I loved Spencer's character. Spencer's? I loved Spence's character arc. It was fantastic, and I loved the character moments between her and Jorgen, and her and the other characters, her and Embot, and just everything about this book. It was so amazing, and I loved it, and I'm so glad that I'm pretty sure this is probably among one of my favorite science fiction series. The reason being is because I don't read a lot of science fiction, and so this is probably only the science fiction book series that I've actually read. Which is kind of sad. I've read other science fiction series, I'm pretty sure, but this is definitely one of my new favorite YA science fiction series that I've read. And it's really good. And Sanderson really knows how to write, in my opinion. So anyway, yes, Defiant, read the series if you want to. I think you should. Alright, so those are all of my favorite books of the year of 2023. Let me know if any of you guys have read any of these books. Let me know your thoughts on them. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Alright, bye!